Hey guys, well, Google is doing a really interesting move. So they're now planning to start offering the Google Gemini chatbot, the Google Gemini AI chatbot, to children under 13. Now, it's not common that Google goes out of their way to provide children services besides YouTube Kids and stuff like that. This is namely due to the COPPA, or the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. This is a act that was put into effect in United States law, enforced by the FCC, and basically says that you cannot collect the data of anybody under 13 for any purposes of, well, in effect, advertising. So if you're under 13, you can't do certain things on certain platforms. For example, you aren't allowed to go on YouTube standalone anyways. You aren't allowed to use Google. You aren't allowed to use Discord, etc., etc. There's a lot of services that companies won't provide to you if you're under 13 for that reason. Some sites will provide services to you under 13, but they'll catalog you as an under 13 user so that your data isn't used for any advertising purposes, because they have to specifically make sure they're not collecting your data. Google, however, is going to make a under 13 mode effectively for Google Gemini for children under 13. So we're going to go ahead and cover it in today's video. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with this article by the New York Times. Google plans to roll out its AI chatbot to children under 13. The tech giant said it would make its Gemini chatbot available to children next week and warned families in an email about the changes. So Google plans to roll out its chatbot to children under 13 who have parent-managed Google accounts. So the Gemini apps will soon be available for your child. The company sent an email this week to the parent of an 8-year-old that apparently also sent this to New York Times. That means your child will be able to use Gemini to ask questions, get homework out, and make up stories. Chatbot will be available to children whose parents use Family Link, which is a Google service that enables families to set up Gmail and opt into specific services like YouTube for their child. Now, admittedly, some things I will point out. As far as I'm aware, and I'm not a lawyer, so don't completely take this with a grain of salt. But as far as I'm aware, the COPPA can effectively be voided if the parent signs off on allowing the child to use the platform. So basically, I would assume in this scenario, if you have an account with Google Family Link, you would be signing off effectively on your child's behalf in a legally binding contract that effectively allows Google to most likely collect the data, which, all things considered, they probably are. Like, let's be honest here. They probably are. So that's what I assume. I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, that is the way it goes. So what they're probably doing is basically, if you opt in to Google Gemini, you'll basically be allowing Google to collect so and so information for a similar reason as like opting into like YouTube and stuff like that. So to sign up for a child account, parents provide the tech company with personal data like their child's name, date of birth, etc., etc. Gemini has also introduced specific guardrails for younger users to hinder the chatbot from producing certain unsafe content, which is actually pretty interesting. So, what Google says here is that apparently, if a child with a Family Link account uses Google Gemini, the company won't use that data to train its AI, which is interesting. So, I guess if you have a Family Link account, and you're like still a child, your data won't be used for AI training, which I guess is to try to comply with the COPPA laws, because I don't think they were really written with the whole AI training thing in mind, because I think that was a law passed way back in like like 2018 or so. It was a long time. So to be honest, that's probably just a safety measure on Google's part. Now, what I assume is that, and I haven't scrolled through Google's terms of service, so again, take it with a grain of salt, and I'm not a lawyer, but what I assume is probably going on is that Google is collecting some small portions of the children's data, but that kind of comes into fruition when the Family Link account is set up. It's probably a part of the terms of service that is accepted on by the parent in order to do this. When you create a Family Link account, it's probably somewhere in the terms of service where you're allowing Google to do some level of data collection on your child. I know Nintendo did this with online services on like the Wii U and 3DS consoles, where if you were like a really young child, the parent would have to go out and kind of like sign a little thing allowing Nintendo to collect specific pieces of data on the child's behalf, as far as I'm aware, anyways. Um, so all in all, that is actually kind of interesting, though, that they're not going to use the data to train AI. I'm pretty sure that's probably a legal safeguard. But let's keep on reading. So, introducing Gemini for children could accelerate the use of chatbots among a vulnerable population. It's kind of interesting how they use that keyword there, but I'll get into that in a moment. As schools, colleges, and companies and others grapple with the effects of popular generative AI technologies, trained on huge amounts of data, these systems can produce human-like text and realistic-looking images and videos, and yada yada. Just some history about Google. Long story short, there's definitely some controversy about young children utilizing AI. Um, and some of that revolves around the fact that AI tends to hallucinate. I think it's a double edged sword. I think AI is going to be incredibly helpful for the next generation, in my opinion, because it allows, when it works, and key phrase, when it works, it is really, really good at allowing somebody to absorb huge amounts of information all at once. When it doesn't work, though, it definitely can cause lots of confusion. Especially nowadays when we see AI as such a trusted authority, it's becoming more and more of a risk when AI starts to hallucinate, which it does tend to do. So it's a double edged sword. It will honestly not only greatly, greatly help the next generation of children when it comes down to studies and literature and all different kinds of things, but it also might hinder them because it might give them false information that isn't correct, and they don't know how to spot when it hallucinates. They don't know when to, go ahead and say, oh, that's wrong. They don't have that intuition yet because they're young children who haven't fully learned. They can't spot when things might be wrong. They don't have that intuition yet. So again, like I said, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It can be a good thing, and slowly AI is getting better and better. It's getting way less like incorrect in a lot of the answers it provides. It's hallucinating way less than it used to. But it still does hallucinate, and sometimes it hallucinates on very important things. So again, I would say it's a double-edged sword. And it is kind of interesting that Google is now starting to, popularize this and push this out. And I'm kind of curious to see how it goes because I know for a fact this probably will stir up controversy somewhere. Maybe we'll have like another data privacy scandal when it comes down to children because we had that with YouTube in the past. I'm pretty sure, and take this with a grain of salt as well, but I'm pretty sure that YouTube, just YouTube standalone, is part of the reason why the COPPA was put into effect because, well, that was just a whole data privacy scandal in and of itself. YouTube was collecting data of children, and then there was laws enacted that admittedly also affected YouTubers, but that's a whole other story, that basically made it so that some things would have to be marked in a certain way so that data wouldn't be collected and yada yada. So honestly, maybe this will start a whole data privacy scandal of its own. I'm not sure, but I'm very curious to see how this plays out. That is about it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, you guys, and remember to stay safe out there.